Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Cypher2 back again with another amazing video here today. So if you guys can tell by the thumbnail, by the title, by everything that is telling you about this video, we're talking about a different game other than Call of Duty today, Battlefield 2042, which I have mentioned a lot on this channel. I even think I did a live gameplay, did I? No, maybe not, but I have been talking about in the last 5 videos. I would have been bringing this video way earlier, but it's finally happening now. So it's happening now. I may have backed up a little bit on my promise, claim that it would be the next video, the next video after that, and the next video after that other video that I uploaded before this video. Yeah, you know all that shit that goes down behind the scenes of what I do with my job and what I do potentially maybe for a living one day. But anyway, today I want to talk about Battlefield 2042 because it is a game that I was anticipating for a while. Because if you guys don't know, Battlefield was the first ever series I played online games for, which was Battlefield Bad Company 2 back in the day on the PS3 / Xbox 360, whichever console you had at the time. And then I moved very heavily into Battlefield 3, which I didn't really much like at first when it first released, but I think after they fixed the bugs, I really got into that game a lot. And also Battlefield 4, which I got way heavily into. Oh my gosh, I was almost max rank on the PS3 edition. I may be playing again on the PS4 edition. I just don't feel like unlocking all of that progress. I was even very big into Battlefield Hardline. I did love Battlefield Hardline. It wasn't the perfect Battlefield game, don't get me wrong. I wish there was a lot more, maybe weapons and stuff like that could have been added to the game, but it was one of those games where I definitely did think that if you did pre-order the game for $120, you definitely got fucked over. You know, like the game should have been like the premium edition should have been no more than maybe $80 at the end of the day, because even then $60 was a little expensive for that game considering how much content was released when the game first came out. But you know, it is what it is. You know, I picked it up for I think like $15 used from GameStop, and I was very happy with my purchase, and I think that was pretty much an acceptable value for the game. I definitely got a lot out of it. I played the multiplayer a lot of times. I do think though that the beta that released for the game though was, I would say, a little bit better in terms of you know, maybe for the criminal side, but you know, that's a video that I would probably never make unless you guys like Battlefield videos, and I can do a Battlefield retrospective video, maybe. I don't know. You know, it is what it is. But anyway, today we're not talking about all that stuff. We want to talk about specifically Battlefield 2042. So if you guys don't know, you know, we've been in Season 1 of Battlefield 2042 for a long time, and about a month ago, they did talk about Battlefield 2042. You know, the EA developers talked about the change that was coming. So they have, you know, updated the map. So they have, you know, like 2.0 versions of maps of like Kaleidoscope and all these maps where they've just added in more debris. Or what they have done is, for example, for Kaleidoscope, they took one of the main sections of the map, which is basically like a gigantic just like statue with like a little, you know, stuff around it, and they've changed it and just changed it into more of like a fob area. It definitely reminds me a lot of Battlefield 3 and Battlefield Bad Company 2 vibes of the style that it looks like, where it's more of like a operating base and not just like a city kind of style where like Battlefield 4 was more leaning towards and stuff like that. But you know, they never really introduced a lot of the fundamentals, you know, of the gameplay that I think they kind of breezed over it or just said it is what it is. For example, one of the main things they did talk about in the video was the specialist, and they pretty much said, you know, in like within 30 seconds of the specialists were here to stay, which in my personal opinion is a no-go for me. You know, I think I was willing to try out specialists, but I didn't think they were going to play out the way that the leaks and what I thought they were going to play out was originally. I thought they were going to play out more very similar to maybe, I want to say, Rainbow Six Siege style, but they're definitely way different to that, even on a whole different level. I just don't think the specialist works out effectively as it would, you know, that you would expect, you know, for a Battlefield game. It doesn't really work for the style of play you need for Battlefield, which to me is a very important topic they need to address. That is the next game, Battlefield 48 whatever, they definitely need to go back to the classes system, in my personal opinion, because the specialist is just not going to cut it. It doesn't effectively work. Another thing that I don't think effectively works is the battle pass system. I mean, honestly, it is cool that they're releasing all of these, you know, cosmetics, I guess you could say, but the problem is that I think that they should have done what Battlefield 4 did, which is had a system where you could unlock a lot of customizable stuff through just playing the game. But also, if you play the game a lot and you unlocked a crate or whatever, a case, that you got even more stuff. So you got maybe a different type of suppressor, which just made it look different, or maybe you got a decal or a dog tag. Instead of unlocking all these items behind, you know, a tier system of, you know, oh, I have to do this to unlock the next tier. They should lock it behind just a very similar situation like that, just either a lock system where you get so many kills or whatever, right, and you get the calling card, right, or whatever you want, right. I don't think it works that effectively well for a Battlefield game. It just doesn't really work for Battlefield, in my personal opinion. It is different, it is interesting, but it just doesn't feel like Battlefield. I'm having to, you know, change the way I play just because I need to get the next tier in the battle pass, and that's not what I play Battlefield for. I play Battlefield to change my play style because I need to change for what is happening around me, not for a need to do this to unlock the next thing. Another thing that I think they do need to change, they need to add just a shit ton of more weapons. We released with like 20 weapons, and that's not even comparable to like the 40 weapons that released in Battlefield 4 on day one. You know, that's nowhere acceptable, or stuff like that. I don't think it's acceptable. They also did talk about, so they talked about as well as also that that Hazard Zone is going to be no more. There's going to be, so they're not going to effectively update it anymore. So it's coming how it is, because it was pretty much dead on arrival. I don't think I've ever touched it either myself. Now that I think about it, I just never got interested by it. It was a semi-cool idea. It's just, like I said, it isn't Battlefield. It belongs in a whole other game. But anyway, you know, I think the main issue here, though, is that a lot of people have talked about, especially like Jack Frags, you know, people who do upload more Battlefield content, is that EA officially has already abandoned Battlefield 2042. So the 4 seasons we're getting, I'm pretty sure that's all we're getting. We're getting 4 operators, maybe 6-8 maps at best, if that's all we're going to get, and that's it. Because if you guys don't know, EA has already moved the main development of Battlefield 2042 to the next Battlefield. So they're already working on the next Battlefield because they realize that this Battlefield just took a shit. Like, the graphics look shitty, the gunplay isn't Battlefield, the sound isn't Battlefield. You know, everything about this game doesn't feel like Battlefield. It feels like a mix between Rainbow Six Siege, Call of Duty, and semi-Battlefield had a baby, and this is pretty much what you get. And then also you add in like maybe a first-time developer studio that's making this AAA title game. That's kind of what it feels like, just a little bit. But that is crazy that this game is already being abandoned by the company themselves. You know, they've already pretty much made it aside and pushed this game to the side and said, we're going to sweep this one under the rug. We're going to push all development to Battlefield 800 or whatever, right? You know, whatever the next one is going to be. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you. But another thing, and I think that they definitely failed on it, besides already abandoning the game, you know, because there's still lots of bugs in this game, is that they failed to release it with a campaign, you know, which Battlefield campaigns have not been the greatest in terms of gameplay, but they have always been pretty good in story. You know, like Battlefield 3, the story was definitely there, you know, and the gameplay was there too. I think Battlefield 3 is probably one of the best campaigns we've had in the Battlefield series from like the last 4 or 5, in my personal opinion. Just because the story was there. It was definitely an interesting story, an interesting tale, and also the gameplay for it wasn't bad. You know, there's a lot of good mix in there. Battlefield 4, I feel like was pretty, the story was definitely interesting. I really did like the story of World War III, you know, but the gameplay just was terrible. It was just basically run and gun from section to section, running these massive open, semi-open distances that just didn't feel right. You know, it just like felt like more like a walking simulator than a Battlefield, you know, simulation. You know, there wasn't too much that I expect. You know, there just wasn't too much from the levels, and I also just felt like it was that way just to fill out, to make it a 4-hour campaign instead of like a 2 to 3 hour campaign. That's kind of what it did feel like. They added those sections in there just to make it kind of like a filler, but to fill it out. But it is what it is. Battlefield 1 definitely had a good campaign. You know, the stories were somewhat impactful. You know, like the first story, you know, one of the stories was definitely impactful, did have a good meaning, but the other ones just were, you know, they were too short. So some of them you didn't even get to get a real feel for the characters and stuff like that. Battlefield 5, I mean, just that one was also kind of cool. I just don't like how they kind of played with the lore of World War II. I didn't really like that, but it definitely was interesting. I guess, I don't know, it really doesn't pertain to me. It was just you know, it wasn't as good as Battlefield 3 or Battlefield 4, that's definitely without a doubt, but I definitely think they shouldn't have not completely cut it out of Battlefield, you know. But I'm just really disappointed that this game is pretty much going to have no more support, because there is some potential here. I mean, there is some, you know, if they would change a lot of, you know, some things, you know, maybe gunplay balancing, you know, they could be definitely changed, but you know, at the end of the day, it's not my decision. I really do hope that they fix and learn from this big fart that EA and DICE took on this game and make the next Battlefield even way better. But, you know, at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I think Battlefield needed this, you know, just because it just needed to learn that the community is still here to support the classic and support some new ideas, right? You know, a lot of the new ideas I liked was, you know, the tree system. That was a cool idea. You know, the more, you know, different types of vehicles I think is cool. You know, stuff like that. But and the more kind of like future looking-esque, you know, combat, where it does look futuristic, but it does have a slight modern touch to it. I do like that. I think that is something that could be brought back to Battlefield. In the next Battlefield, it just needs to be executed more correctly, in my personal opinion. But anyway, that's today's topic about Battlefield 2042. I'm gonna try and release maybe different types of videos, you know, talk about different games. If you guys do like this content, though, please tell me in the comment section below. Maybe leave a like or whatever, you know, subscribe. Anyway, please leave a like rating down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and maybe, you know, maybe by any chance happen to click the notification icon and maybe get uploaded, or you know, text, mail, email, whatever, about whenever I upload or go live, guys. And I'll see you guys when I see you guys. Peace out.